Yeah, so Pope is touch and go whether he plays in this one. So we'll have to make a call on that. Bardo's had a hernia operation, so he's just in the early stage of recovery from that. Dale Stevens had an operation on his ankle. He's been recovering from that. Kevin Long's still making a recovery from a minor operation on his Achilles, and Robbie Brady's still making a recovery. So none of them four will figure, but Pope is kind of touch and go on what decision we can come up with him as well, included.
You made changes during the game on Saturday with people talking about fatigue. How big an issue is that becoming now at the end of what's been a very challenging season for a relatively small squad?
Yeah, I think for us, I don't think it's been fatigue as in the distance covered in games. I think it's been more the mental fatigue of players working to get fit and then getting fit and then sometimes breaking down again. And, you know, the injury list has been fatiguing when you're constantly trying to get a team out there that can perform to the max, if you like, you know, which we have to do in the Premier League, of course. And so that's been a different kind of fatigue, you know, more of a mental fatigue, just trying to get everyone fit and get them out there and get them working. Physically, I think the players have coped well with the season. I think there's been difficult periods, particularly through January and February. And, you know, that was I think there was us and Man City at one stage played the most games and, you know, a big shift. I think four, maybe five more than other teams in that period. So that was difficult. I think the physical side of things has been strong. We've statistically done that every season, so we've been happy with that. So yeah, it's you know, for us it's slightly different now. Obviously, sealing the Premier League after the Fulham game. Didn't think we performed too badly against Leeds. They were excellent, to be fair, full of energy, full of running, which we were as well. But you know, they got the right side with being clinical, and we didn't.
I imagine Liverpool tomorrow will be full of energy and running, defending champions. They've got a lot at stake riding on the game. How dangerous an opponent do you see them tomorrow?
Yeah, well, everyone knows they had a lull in form, which is not like them, but they've had some key injuries. We also know that. And then they've come back strong. You know, the last few games, they've looked strong, they've looked sharp. We know they're a good outfit anyway. I mean, look, they've proven that. You don't need me to remind you of that. So you have to be ready for all of these challenges. But certainly, you know, they're in good form. They're chasing to try and make sure they're in the Champions League slots, of course. And they certainly look like they've come back to life somewhat, you know, from a period when they weren't, like I say, it's not like they're a poor side, far from it. It's just that they were maybe quieter than what they normally are and just couldn't quite get on the right side of the margins. For them, that is. But no, they look in good form. You know, a bit of freedom for us now, you know, playing these games, but you still want to perform, you know, we still want to take the game on, still want to finish the season properly.
Huge incentive for you, though. If you win, it's the double over the champions.
Yeah, I mean, look, not an easy task, that for sure. We had a really big result away at their place, a good result, and just about deserved. I mean, we still had to defend well. They create chances and shots from distance rather than, you know, really close in. So don't get me wrong, we had to do all the right side of the game and the hard side of the game. We had to do it well, and then stay in it to make sure we found chances. And eventually we did, of course. And so, you know, pleased with that. But obviously, it's a different game. That one doesn't owe you this one, that's for sure. We know they're a good outfit. We've got to be ready and we've got to play hard and work very hard because, you know, usually to win these games, you have to be prepared to put the effort in without a doubt.
They've got a front three, of course. They've got Trent Alexander-Arnold now back in fine form, but they've also got a goalkeeper scoring goals. How astonished were you with that?
Well, some finish, that's for sure. Look, I mean, we've all done it. You know, you're all hoping for one of them moments. I think the biggest one I can remember many years ago was it Jimmy Glass, I think, at Carlisle. That's probably one of the biggest moments I can remember from a goalkeeper scoring. But great finish it was. You know, and they get a win when they need, that's for sure.
You'd have been proud of a header like that, wouldn't you?
Trust me, I didn't used to score many. I was trying to head them out the other end, trying to keep clean sheets. And weren't renowned for my scoring abilities, that's for sure. But yes, I would have been if it was me.
And in terms of the game itself, it'll be notable because you've got supporters finally at Turf Moor. How good will that be?
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, a lot have been mentioned over the Premier League season, this season with away form and stuff like that. I've always said of the backing we have from our crowd, they've learned over seasons that they stay with the team. You know, even if we've had a tough result or a tough performance, they've more or less stayed with us. A few question marks, but not as many as other grounds. You know, they seem to bond to the team and what the team give, and myself, and I've always thanked them for their support. And I think it's great to see them with a chance to come back in the stadium. You know, obviously limited numbers, but I think we all hope across the board it all works for everyone. And by next season, if all does go to plan across the country, then in theory we should have stadiums with people back in, and that'll be a fantastic step forward, of course, for all.
How big a difference does that make to you and to the players having that vocal support?
Yeah, I think it'd be one of them strange things, when it's not there, you have to adapt to it. You got no choice. And then when it comes back, I think you're very quick to quickly readapt to it. So, it has been missed. There's no two ways about it. Some of the games, I must say, I think credit to a lot of the players though, because some of the games I think have been fantastic, and the fans would have only added to it. Whereas some games, I think they need, games sometimes need the fans to bring an edge to the performance, to bring an edge to their team. And I think there has been games like that. But on the whole, I think players across the Premier League and possibly football, obviously only, work in the Premier League, but I think they deserve a lot of credit, players, because I think there's been a lot of really, really good games and exciting games and games that meant something have been delivered in a way that you can clearly see both teams fighting for what they need.
Can I just get your views on a couple of stories that have broken today, mainly? Harry Kane, intensive reports say...
Have they okay, Greg? Put their hand in their pocket and we've signed him. Fantastic news. Oh, sorry, I got mixed up with the news that you thought you were going to say.
Can I just get your reaction to Harry Kane likely to be leaving Spurs?
I don't know. Is he likely to be leaving Spurs? You can have a reaction if he was likely to be leaving Spurs. I don't know. I haven't spoke to Daniel Levy or anyone there, so I don't know.
How surprised would you be if he wanted to leave? I mean, they're in 6th position. Most people will feel they've had a disappointing season.
Well, I mean, he's his own man. I know that. He's a fantastic player and a fantastic professional. So if there's any truth in it, then he'll be partly to do with that truth. I'm sure of that. I'm sure he knows enough people at Tottenham with his past and his connections there, where I'm sure he and relevant people will know. But until it's an actual factual story, I don't really know what I'm talking about. So I'll leave it there.
Okay. An actual factual story, Roy Hodgson leaving Crystal Palace in the summer at the age of 73. What do you make of his contribution to the game?
For me, fantastic fella. I've met him a number of occasions, always very open, always has a chat with you, always, you can share time with him. Very humble for what he's done in the game, what he's achieved in the game. And, well, in more recent years, ably assisted by Ray Lewin, who I'm a big fan of. He was my manager at Watford. Always had a good relationship with Ray. Proper people in the game, proper football men, as they always call it. People who have been around the game for a long, long time. They know about the game. Their knowledge of the game is excellent. But they know about the game. They know about the feel of the game. They understand it. He's been an outstanding servant for many different clubs over many different periods of his career.
And in terms of his age, 73, I mean, you're only 49. Will you be still managing at 73?
Nope. Absolutely not. 100% not.
Why?
I just think the way the game's going, I think you put your lot in. When you can, you try and be successful. A lot more demands. And people like Roy, by the way, they share it with you. The older managers, they share it with you. They say, no, it's a different game now. The demands are higher on managers, the demands on their lives. Don't forget, because now it's not just you, it's your family, it's your friends, it's your loved ones, the connections you have outside of your job. They're all open for whatever people want to say about them. And I think them challenges eventually would get in the way. I don't think it's the pitch. I enjoy working on the pitch. I enjoy working with the players, that's for sure. Playing my part, hopefully, in some of them developing and going on to, have great careers. I just think it's changing. I think the demand on it, both on and off the pitch, both in the club and outside of the club, I think there's a much bigger demand on your private life and on your life in general away from football. So I can't see me wanting to do that till I'm 73. Fantastic these guys do, though. I must make it clear. But I once said the Steve Redgrave comment, and we know what that was, for those who do know that comment. If you see me near a boat, then...
And in terms of Roy leaving, there will be inevitable speculation, linking you and several others with the position. How happy are you still at Burnley? It's been another challenging season with a small squad. Are you as happy as you've ever been at Burnley?
I've always, maintained the same thought. Eventually things in football change, but I've been saying that for, I was probably recognised outside of these parts after our first promotion, maybe. People said, well, they've done a good job, etc., etc. Links come up. I'm always flattered by any links at any level of football because I respect the whole of football. I played through my career up and down the levels of football, smaller clubs, bigger clubs, etc., etc. So my respect has always been there for what football is. My role here is still what it is. I'm still working hard. I think that's been shown this season with myself, my staff and the players. I never lose sight of that. If things change in the future, who knows? You can't guarantee whatever's going to be in football. That's one thing I also know about it. Planning your future is not so easy in football. Twists and turns, doors open, doors close. At the moment, I'm still Burnley manager, and I must have said that down these 8.5 years a number of times.
What's changed dramatically, though, obviously, in the last few months is the new owners. Does your discussions over incoming players over the summer, does that really determine your long-term future at Burnley now?
No, I think the bigger picture of the club has always determined it anyway. I always like to think I'll manage whatever's put in front of me. I need that kind of openness, which I get from the new incoming owners so far, because I'm still learning about them. They're still learning about me. Ongoing discussions about what that means in reality. Finance available, the running of the club, who's doing what role, etc., etc. That takes time to build that kind of process or to go through that process. But that's all being done. So we'll see where it takes us.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Ian, Parker, PA, we're going to next. Vicky's going to just conclude this section. So Ian, PA, do you have any questions?
Hi, Sean. Just a quick one. You said earlier on there that there's a bit of freedom to the side now with safety assured. You mentioned after the Leeds game that maybe the edge had come off out of the performance. Do you see that in training that edge is back as you prepare for tomorrow night?
No, I think it was just slightly off against Leeds. They were very good though. Don't get me wrong. They are playing with that edge. And a lot of that comes with confidence. They've had a lot of good results. It was a marginal point that I was making. The players still gave their lot. We created good chances, missed them. They created good chances, scored them. So that's sometimes the facts of a game. The freedom thing, don't get me wrong, you still got to do the right things. It doesn't mean that you just go out there and run around like kids in a playground. That doesn't happen in professional football, I can assure you. It's certainly not in the Premier League. So don't get me wrong, there's a professional delivery of a performance. But the point is, most people, when you're playing these sort of teams, have them down to win the game. So it brings that kind of freedom where you go, well, okay, well, if we equip ourselves properly, we go and play properly. The main job for this season, I'd like to think we can build beyond this, the sort of thinking of this season, which was basically to stay up. We had such a tough start. That's achieved. So now it's like, well, come on then, let's take on these games. And like I say, I must remind you, I didn't think there was a lack of that against Leeds. I just thought they had a bit more than us on the day and they were more clinical. So I've been pretty happy with the level of performance of these players. Going into Liverpool, everyone will expect Liverpool to win. Everyone knows what Liverpool are chasing. So it just brings you that little bit of freedom when you go, come on then, lads, let's take on the game and see where it takes us. And we did that away, and now we're going to do it at home. But they're a top outfit, without a doubt.
And is there any freedom for you in terms of team selection and maybe changing things up a little bit?
Well, there's not a lot. I've read the injury list out, so there's not that much in the way of that. And you are playing a top side, so therefore you've still got to make sure, with all due respect, people often say about playing younger players, you've got to give them a chance. I mean, young players have got to go on a pitch knowing they can have a chance of delivery. It's very difficult against these kind of sides, so it's fair to say I'll probably go with a more experienced side. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we are finishing off the season with a low number of players, and we've got to get them right. So anyone who's got anything even moderately serious, we're having to take them out to make sure that, well, in theory, to make sure that by the beginning of next pre-season, we come back with a full complement of players who are fully fit. And that's, already been compromised with Dale Stevens. He's got a chance of next pre-season, but we'll have to wait and see with Bardo, etc., etc. So, we've got to try and replan now going forwards. Obviously, recruitment is a different thing, but inside of our camp, the players that are here and they're at full fitness.
Thank you.
Alex, James,
Thank you.
Afternoon, Sean.
Hiya.
Just quickly following on from what Ian said there, will you have to sort of readjust how you approach pre-season in terms of break time for players, how many friendly matches you play, given the workload they've been through and the sort of 2 consecutive seasons running back to back almost?
Yeah, the difference is this time though. Last sort of summer, if you like, we had like three weeks and 2 days break. It's a very short break. That this summer there'll be 6.5 weeks or so. So you're hopeful they get a rest from it. Obviously, travel's still limited, but you hope they get some form of a break, an actual break, where they can still at least, or certainly in this country, as we know now, can still go have dinner, spend time socialising with friends. visit some of the cool places that are around England if they can't travel abroad. So it's a real break, if you like. They still look after themselves during that break, but it's an actual real break. 6 odd weeks is enough to kind of shut down, I think. Whereas that 3 weeks, it doesn't half come around quick. Before you know it, they're back into pre-season, and 3 weeks, well, probably just under 4 weeks, and they were back playing again. So I think it's just a longer period to make sure they're refreshed, both mentally and physically.
And now Premier League safety has been confirmed for you guys, and you've had sort of 5 or so months working with ALK. Has there been any discussions regarding your contract and whether a new one might be in the offing there?
Not so much myself. I made it clear that the main focus for me was to make sure we're in the Premier League. Now that that's achieved, then it's different on that score. So I'm sure over the coming weeks they will be speaking to me. They've certainly mentioned they want to. And then regarding the players, of course, we've got to make sure we're securing the right players and make sure we're looking outside of our group to secure players too.
I guess as ever, that's part of the process this summer, as much as bringing new players in is ensuring you've got the right players tied down for more than just the next 12 months.
I think any work we can do that benefits the team is a major plus, because it is tricky. We do have open lines of communication with all our players here and their agents, and trying to recruit. It's a tricky side of the industry. Everyone knows that. Probably the toughest, really, to make sure you're getting the right players in who can take you forward. So that's part of the challenge. We've been down this road before, and we're going to go down this road again.
Nice one. Thank you, Sean. All the best
Thank
tomorrow
you.
night. Cheers, Pete.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, no problem. And last of this section, Vicky, anything you need at the moment?
Just one from me, Sean. Hiya.
Hiya.
Just going back to the fans coming in, it's going to be a huge adrenaline rush, isn't it, for the players, having got used to playing with the empty stands, and I guess for yourself as well?
Well, I think it's just a reminder. It's a reminder, a soft reminder, albeit, with sort of, I think we're allowed 3,500, because of the varying rules. But I think it's a good reminder. I think it's a pleasant reminder. I hope the fans just come in and want to enjoy their game, first of all, and then as time builds, they want their team to win, etc., etc. But I think just to have fans in the stadium enjoying football again is going to be a massive positive.
It's amazing. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.